Welcome to Podcasting with Steve. Podcasting with Steve is a weekly video series where we discuss various aspects of developing and producing our own podcast. Why do we want to produce a podcast? Well, I'm convinced we are living in the golden age of self-expression. Whether we speak, whether we sing, whether we scribble our ideas on a piece of paper, whether we dance, draw, or doodle, there's a platform out there where we can spread our ideas far and wide. And the best part is, we don't have to ask anybody for permission. Now, why do you want a podcast? What subjects should you talk about? Are you an auto mechanic? Can you do a weekly podcast series on tips that'll help us maintain our cars? Are you an attorney? Could you do a podcast where you talk about ways we can cross our legal T's and dot our legal I's? Are you an event planner? Could you do a podcast on how to plan that great conference or wedding or other celebration? If you answered yes to any of those three questions, podcasting is for you. Now, on my particular podcast, I like to have guests, and I've found some really interesting guests that have been great for the show. How do I find the guest? Well, there's an old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, that might be true, but we have a lot of control over who we know. We know the people we interact with, but we can also decide on how to expand the world of people we interact with. We interact with our friends. We interact with people in social organizations. We interact with people in service clubs. In my particular case, not only do I interact with my friends, I interact with my fellow Toastmasters who have become my friends. I've also been active in an organization called Braver Angels. I've made friends there and interacted with those friends. The first podcast episode I did was with my Toastmaster friend, George. We had a great conversation for about 30 minutes about Toastmasters. Since Toastmasters is a communication and leadership organization, over the course of my podcasts, I've done interviews with my friends Michael, Reggie, and Jesse, and they've shared their views on leadership. Now, what about my Braver Angels friends? Well, Braver Angels is an organization that helps people who disagree politically find common ground. I made some good friends there, particularly Carlos, Erica, and Emily. They shared their views on the best ways to bring people together. Another way to find guests is through word of mouth. I've got a good friend named Griff. We've known each other for years. Griff was not only a great guest on my podcast when we talked about some of the great athletes that came out of Oakland, California, Griff actually gave me the names of some of his buddies who were great athletes that came out of Oakland. Two people in particular, Michael and Monty, became guests on my show, and we had great conversations. So word of mouth is a big deal. Griff introduced me to Michael and Monty, and then Michael introduced me to an author named Lee. We talked, and Lee introduced me to two other people, Steve and George. And Steve, George, and I talked last week, and they're going to be my podcast episode on February 5th. There's also the internet. One of the reasons we are living in the golden age of self-expression is because of our access to the internet. How many times have you read a book? You like the book and you wish you could find the author. Well, guess what? In this golden age of self-expression, you go to Google, you type in the author's name, there's a good chance you're going to find a website or a LinkedIn page. I've met authors through LinkedIn where I find them on Google, go to their LinkedIn page, message them, and they love to talk about their book. We have more access to people that we never had access to before in this internet age. There's also Google Alerts. No matter what subject you're interested in, if you're the auto mechanic, if you're the attorney, if you're the event planner, you could type in a Google alert, and every day at a certain time, you will get a message from Google about everything that appeared in periodicals worldwide about your subject. You read the article, you find an interesting person in that article, Google them, find their LinkedIn page, and there's a good chance you have a guest. So that's how I find guests. Now, there's probably a lot of other ways to do it, and you probably have ideas yourself. And when you have those ideas and you implement them, please go to the comment section of this video and put in the comment what your idea is and how it helped you. I'd love to spread the word, and I'll probably try your idea out. But meanwhile, whatever you do, start your podcast. The next step is for you to access this golden age of self-expression. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe so this message will go far and wide. And let's find that shining needle of common ground in that haystack of fear.